We have begun.
Good
Please ensure your microphones are on.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order at 12:32 p.m. And the first thing is the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Alma-Calderman is located on the Mississauga Anishinaabeg territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabeg. The Township of Alma-Calderman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Item 4 is approval of the agenda as circulated.
Madam Mayor,
With the,
we have an addition under the closed session under section 239 2B.
okay. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council session of Thursday, June 16th, 2022, with the addendum in the closed session, you've got the number,
239 2B.
239 2B, be approved as circulated. Mover, please. Councillor Phillips, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson, all in favor? Carried. Item 5 is delegations, and our first delegation is a request for a delegation received from France Metzler and Barry Serreris, re the Rotunda Senior Living Project in Roseneath. Be it resolved that council permit France Metzler and Barry Serreris to take the floor to make a presentation to council regarding the Rotunda Senior Living Project in Roseneath. Can I have a mover for that, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Philp. All in favor? Carried. Would you like to, both of you, come up to this desk? Yolanda, get you organized. Welcome.
Mayor.
We're ready for you to start.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors, members of the public. We are honored and very happy to have a chance, 10 minutes, to present to you one of the projects with lots of excitement. It's called Rotunda Senior Living, and the developers of that idea are close to Roseneath, and we would like to utilize a property in Roseneath which we have, which we control, and build something which is in the best interest of the public. The main idea is we would like to build a facility with 5 units for senior couples, which would be in a building with a high quality of life. The center of the building would be a glass covered facility with mixed usage. We have several different type of people in that building which can use the center of that building. You can see that on page 2 and 3 in the pamphlet we handed out to you.
Amanda, please.
Yes, please. move to page 2. Just up here and speed. That's good. Yeah. Thank you very much. As you see on that layout, the building is roundish. It has actually 9 corners. It's a monogone. And the idea behind that layout is we want to have a social environment, we want to have sustainability, and we want to have a simple solution for those people which live in that home. Socially speaking, you see on the top at 12 o'clock on that display, you see a entrance area with a coffee shop. So the coffee shop is something which is a social place, accessible by the public, and it should be open every day. The coffee shop also has access, limited access to the center of the building, which is a glass-covered roof, and it is very comfortable to be in there and socialize. Also, in that concept, we have allowed for a small daycare. You see that at the right side, at the bottom towards the right side, approximately 4 o'clock, you see the daycare facility, which is just a small daycare for approximately 6 to 10 children maximum. And that is also an interesting part which activates the social life of people living under that same roof. The sustainability of the whole facility is an important part. Sustainability means the cost to live in a building like that. If you go to a retirement home and you want to live there, you pay a monthly fee, mostly between $5,000 and $7,000 or $8,000 per month. Very expensive. And we thought we need something which is more affordable. And the idea is that we would put the whole building under an umbrella of a corporation. And the co-op would allow the people to buy their unit, where they live for a fixed price. But we also would have a condition in there that in case some of those people would decide to move to somewhere else, or in case they pass away or whatever, we would already fix the purchasing price, and the unit will go back to the corporation. The corporation itself would have a member from the public, maybe a councillor, would have a member of the senior living people, would have a member of the support family which lives under the same roof, and probably one member of the owners of the entire building. Those members would then together decide what the rules are in that building, but also decide who could purchase the free unit and move in to that free unit. The aspect of care is always a question. If you get older, you need probably you need support for cleaning. You don't want to do maintenance. The support family will provide that. The support family has 2 units. On the top right, you see between 3 o'clock and 1 o'clock, you see those areas with 3 bedrooms and the kitchen and the living room. And that would be the area where the support family lives. Sustainability also means we want to have, beside the environment where the people live, and beside the financial issues, we want sustainability related to environment. Like the building should be operated or heated with a heat pump, with geothermal if possible. We also want solar panels on the roof where it makes sense, and use that energy to reduce the costs for the operation. The building should also be simple. Simple, if you get older, you don't want to walk stairs. So we decided everything is on one floor. There is no problem for somebody with a wheelchair. They can get everywhere in the building without any obstacles. The most people living in such homes, they want also privacy. We allowed for privacy as well. Privacy is towards the outside of the building. There are towards the outside are a few square meters of garden in each segment where the people can maintain themselves if they want, but there's nobody else having access to their garden or to their part. If they want to socialize, they go to the center, they go to the inside, we call it the solarium, where the glass roof is, and in there they can meet with anybody else which lives in the building, or people from the coffee shop, or people from the daycare with the children. The unit size, per unit we have approximately 80 square meters, which is 860 square feet size approximately. One bedroom, usually a TV room office combination, and a living room with a kitchen. So the units are not too big, but also not too small for somebody in a higher age. They don't want to walk too far. They want efficiency. They want a comfortable place with a good quality of life environment. So those are the three elements. We want to be social, we want to be sustainable, and we want to be simple. The reason why we are here in front of the council is the building has a certain size. And if we go to page number, it's page number 3, page number 2, let's see. Yeah. Okay, you see page number 2 now. The diameter of the building is approximately it's about 200 feet. The building on the west side of the drawing you have in front of you shows a property which we call the old fire hall property. And we would like to ask the council to consider to sell that property to the developer, and so we can have enough space to do that development and invest that money in Roseneath and do something which is good for the town and for the social life in this small hamlet of Roseneath. Barry, would you like to say something in addition to that?
We'd certainly like to look for council support on this project. Again, I'm a realtor for sure, but it's nothing to do with that. But a lot of people I do meet, they don't want to go to or work with them or to live. If they could have an opportunity to live a small complex like this, it'd be more than that. To take somebody away from their whether in all their life, it's quite a hardship. It takes months and years for them to get over that. Leech Village is only so big and it gets a little bit bigger all the time, but still, not everybody wants to live in a high school.
Can you swing the mic over to you, Barry, so that they can see you on YouTube? Thanks.
Oh, you want to see me too?
Speak. I want to hear you. Or they want to
Okay,
hear you.
sorry. But again, like I said, there's more and more people looking from the local group that would like to live in the village. Roseneath has nothing. I mean, our economy in Roseneath has gone to Alderville and we'll never have any economy of commercial ever. So we feel that over time, we've been trying to figure out what to do with these buildings and what we think now is that Roseneath is not much in Roseneath, but people like to live there. My 3 kids, they all live within a 5-minute walk of my house. That means that they must like either me or living there, or whatever. But it's certainly, we have to look in this. There's a challenge now for a place for people to live in. And I know these small towns have smaller lots and everything gets, squished in. So we may not be able to do everything according to the planners and how the world is today. There could be have to be some changes made with the whole group. I mean, we got to work together with the council, the planners, the building people. But sometimes in these smaller lots and that we have to work more together. There could be some things that just aren't 100%, that might be 90%. So I would think that to make improvements, number one, it's hard to find somebody that would want to even invest in Roseneath, but we do have this project and the financial, it's 100% financially stable. There's no issue here with somebody walking away halfway through or 3/4 way through. So that's the big thing right from the start. And Franz, he come along and with this project, and we all think it's just the greatest thing for the village to start with, but we do need that extra space. We need that buffer space. We would pay, like, I just had the surveyors there again yesterday, and we would pay any cost that lot would need to be surveyed or whatever, we would pay for that too. So the less money it would cost the township, certainly we'd look into that. Right?
Right.
No, for sure. So, that old fire hall property has been sitting there forever, and cost to the township, but, whatever come to a conclusion on the cost wise, we're more than willing to pay the bill.
Okay.
But without it, it's just not gonna work for us. We squeeze too much.
So without that property, you don't have the space to build?
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
We need every square foot we can get.
okay.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, the main issue is probably the parking requirements and also some of the requirements of the distance to the neighbors' properties, but also you have to allow sufficient space for sewer, septic systems, and also for the wells, for the water.
Yes,
We did some testing already. We have some ideas, but we have not initiated any official items with sewer or water so far, but we have done some of the homework.
Yeah,
I'm sure you might have some questions, and we would be very happy to hear your questions or your advice for us. And one item I wanted to mention to you, that is not a first. That idea in integrating senior people in active social life is actually quite common in many European countries. My sister in Switzerland, she is the founder of a co-op in the province of Appenzell, and she has founded a unit with 18 beds, and the town first helped to finance it, and she got, with regular pricing, a profit, a decent profit out of it, but it was not based on profit. They didn't want to make profit, but they got a profit for the people which got shares in that corporation. And it's a small profit, but it's consistent since many years. There's one family, they have a farm, and the farmer looks for the farmland. The seniors, if they can, help on the farm. And the female seniors, which live on that farm and on that retirement complex, they help in the kitchen, they do gardening as long as they can.
Yes.
And everything is prepared. So we have tests, we have a benchmark it, we have seen that, and I know culturally there's a difference. Canada has a different culture than Austria, Switzerland, or Sweden, or if you go to Asia. But we can learn from what they did, and bigger is not always better. We think that small project is hopefully a wake-up call. We want to have something in Roseneath which gives Roseneath the center back.
Well,
Please, your
compliments Roseneath, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'll open it up for council to ask questions. Councillor Phil?
This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I've got lots of questions. Maybe they'll generate a few more as we go along. Do you have an idea of what the purchase price per unit will be?
Very good question. We thought about that. The basic calculation at this point is between $350,000 and $500,000. The money is the purchasing price of one unit.
Okay. And the corporation is structured in such a way that you buy shares in the corporation, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay, how do you get, yeah.
It's a co-op. It's a co-op.
Okay, so how does that work?
It would work so that the owners will buy from the co-op the segment they live, and they have the right to live there as long as they want. And if they move away, the co-op will buy it back for a fixed price, which is already negotiated at the time of sales.
Is that so the co-op could buy it back at a bargain price then if things continue to climb? It seems to me that price should float with the market, wouldn't it, Barry?
Oh, it'd be a market, yeah, it'd go with the market value, for sure.
Okay.
Or below.
Yeah,
That's
Probably more, a little bit below.
That's right, because you know what this facility is, we're not expecting the cover price, we're expecting the Roseneath price.
yeah,
people
but
can
it'll
afford
still grow.
Oh, no, for sure.
What about, I'm interested in long-term care on a couple of levels. And if long-term care was required, would there be some kind of a clause that would ask that the long-term care patient or parent folks leave the facility? In other words, is it graduated care? Can because currently in our system in the public sector, if you don't qualify for private care, then you're automatically in line for long-term care. It's one of the few options that you have. I'm just wondering how you see long-term care fitting into this project.
I like that question because that's a key issue. Everybody who gets older needs care. We have planned that for the health part of people's care, that we would have on a daily basis a nurse visiting the property, and some people maybe have diabetes, they need help with some band-aids, other people have maybe a need of something else health-wise, but we would have a nurse which would do limited health care on a daily basis. But that would be not included in the maintenance cost. Like the maintenance family, in my sister's case, it was so that the farmer's wife, she was a nurse, and she would do that as well. And they had 3 children, and they were also working on that farm. But here we have no farm. We have no farmer's wife. And we probably hire a nurse which will come on a daily basis to the property. But
France, I'm not sure if you're aware, we also have paramedicine. Are you aware of that? Where the paramedics, the doctor orders the care, the paramedics come out.
right, I'm aware of that, and that is probably the second stage.
Yeah.
Like the basic healthcare with where a nurse is involved, we can provide. But if we need the second stage, we need probably a doctor for somebody which has more serious conditions. And we want, of course, we want to accommodate that. Everything is wheelchair accessible, but there is a point when people cannot, if somebody lives alone and he needs an excessive part of care, there's a point where probably somebody full-time needs to care for one person. And we are not in a position at the moment to provide for something like that.
No, this is still independent living, basically.
Right, right. It's a limited, limited support, but the support is to quite an extent.
Mhm.
Will the units have emergency contact equipment? In other words, do you know what I mean by the red cords and so on that those facilities have to trigger?
Yes, they are. We have planned that. That's another important issue. What we also do is we give the people a watch which they have to wear, and the watch is in case somebody falls and cannot get up anymore. If that person is for more than 10 seconds or 20 seconds on the floor, not in the bed, on the floor, so near to about 1 to 2 feet above ground, then automatically the support family will be alarmed and somebody's coming to check on that person.
Okay, so like it's a call center. We have them
Right,
commercially all
right,
over.
right.
But will there be someone on deck in the home to respond quickly, or are you going to have something like that, a nursing station or some kind of a central?
The support family has that obligation to provide that. And like if somebody needs emergency support, we have telephones or over the communication system. We have an emergency button, but as I said before, the emergency button is sometimes not reachable depending where it is. So the best is if the people have it on their body. Some have a bracelet,
Yeah.
and have which is for ladies a nice thing, and the male, like in the unit from my sister, the male have more like a watch.
Okay, so there's nothing on site. It's all done the same way that I would do it if I had my mother at home and she'd come. It's the
You are correct.
same issue.
Correct,
Okay.
sir. Yep.
Corporation on one floor, public. So this is private and privately funded, and the funding for this operation is that you were saying that the funding is locally provided. Is that correct? It's not coming from out of province or out of country.
Well, it could come up from another province to fund it, sure.
It is coming from out of the
It
province.
could be,
So at the moment, Barry, so we are two companies which invest a certain amount of money, and that money will be invested in a local company, a corporation. And the local company will fund everything which is required for the building and for the maintenance. So there's no outside province investment required, but the basic owners are Surveyor's Construction and Development Limited, plus the B&F Security and Consulting Inc. B&F Security and Consulting Inc. is a company which is registered in Roseneath, and the Surveyor's company is registered in St. John in British Columbia, in Fort St. John, British Columbia. But those two companies decided we are investing in one corporation in Roseneath to do so. So we have no obligations to outside of Ontario.
Okay. I think that concludes my list of questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the good questions, sir.
Any other questions? Councillor Hawk? Oh, okay, I'll get Councillor Booth after.
It's okay. I think this is a wonderful idea. I really do. And this is the most exciting thing to happen in Roseneath in 50 years. I'm not kidding you.
Thank you.
And I just, through you, Madam Chair, I just want to know, where are we on the assessment value of that roadway on the west side? Did we ever get a price?
But Pat can answer that.
We'll be discussing that in closed session. Okay,
You what?
we'll be, sorry,
Oh,
we'll be discussing it in closed session
Oh,
today.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Councillor Booth?
Yes, through you, your worship. I'd just like to congratulate you on this very innovative idea. It's especially nice, this coming from the private sector. You have answered some of my questions. On your page, it says, at the moment, the owners control property. So who is the owner of that property then? The two properties to the right-hand side?
Okay, the property,
Looks like it's two houses, right? Two lots?
we have two lots at the moment. Property 11891 is owned by Surveyor's Construction and Development Limited. And property 11887 is owned by Patsy Surveyors.
Patricia Walker, my sister. Both my brother and sister own both those properties.
Okay.
Well, she goes under her. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you answered me, thank you. You answered me, France, about the developers with Mike's question. One of the questions I did have is, all 5 of the units, when you say they have a kitchen, so are they going to have is that like a full kitchen? They're going to have an oven or a stove or something, or is it?
No, they have a full kitchen.
Okay, so
They
they'll be
have a
able to
full
make their
kitchen, yes.
meals in their
Right,
property?
They have the option to make their own meals if they want. And if they don't want, then the Kerr family will do the cooking. And they will do the cooking probably in collaboration with the coffee shop. Which the coffee shop has a small kitchen as well in the coffee shop. But there is a connection door for the coffee shop in the caretaker's family apartment, which has an more industrial type of kitchen with larger appliances. So they could, in the worst case scenario, they could cook for 10 people, and they could fully supply the 10 meals, the 3 times the 10 meals a day. But if they want to be independent and say, oh, we do our own cooking, we are good, they can use their own kitchen, they don't have that cost.
And you said then the coffee shop would be open to the public?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, good, because Roseneath needs a good coffee shop. There's nowhere up there now to get a coffee and a donut, really. That's great. And I guess the last question, and maybe Pat, this will come up in closed, is what is the size of the fire hall property?
I don't have it
I've
on.
been there before. It's pretty much a sliver.
Yeah, so I think the building itself is about
feet, I think.
45 feet by 120.
So it's
Say
45 feet
55
wide. by-
and 120 feet
Something
long.
like that.
31 deep, I think. It's kind of a slope from.
But you demolished that fire hall? Is that your plan?
You know what? We may use it.
I know, that's what I wondered, just for
No,
starting.
they might wanna. Just because they're serious, don't
Yeah,
mean
just the,
they can't do that.
yeah,
So
that-
they might
so
have a
that's-
workshop
That's
there.
Yeah, I wondered
If
that.
the building's stable enough, we know there is a system underneath. We gotta make sure that everything's.
Right, okay.
that's good, Franz. And just one more question, maybe you can answer, Franz or Barry. So currently, there's a house. Is that two houses on the corner or is that one house?
There's 2 houses.
So currently, that person in the house right near the fire hall uses that laneway all the time,
Yeah, if they
park
have
their
right of way.
vehicle. So do they know that this possibly is going to happen? Where are they going to be able to park?
They would have, that's a right of way. They have a right of way.
It's not a parking like.
They have a right of way. That driveway is a right of way. That's what they have. And we would never take that away from them.
Right of way to stay.
So in your picture, how close is your rotunda going to come to that property line then?
Well, we just need that buffer in between.
Oh, you need just the
It's
space.
not gonna,
Okay, so would there be a fence there or something, or what?
That's correct.
What's the idea? A
We
fence?
would produce a fence, so the people which have a segment in the rotunda, they would have a little bit privacy.
Okay, thank you.
see, at one time that right of way went into the fairgrounds and people could use that. to get into the
walk through.
fairgrounds. And then over the last number of years, the people at the fairgrounds, they locked the gate because too many people were using that and sneaking in or
Taken in.
misusing the use of that property. So
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
May I maybe ask to
Okay.
the question about the fire hall itself? The fire hall has a system which we wanted to utilize for roof water collection. It's also a building which is would be very nice for a workshop. So the people in this community could use it as for carpentry or some other items,
adding flowers.
or the kindergarten could use it for some of the activities. And of course, the town is always invited to participate in our social environment.
Have you got any more, Greg?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Gibson?
Thank you. So congratulations, because I think a concept like this is long overdue in our rural areas. And, I think a lot of the discussion that we've just had is operational details that you will iron out as you go along. And I think most of those supports, like medical supports, home care, are already in place with the Ministry of Health, with home and community care services. We have other nonprofit, like we're going to hear Linda Kay talk about community care services. So I think the basic infrastructure is there for people, and I think it's a great thing not to have to separate families. So if your family is still wanting to be on the farm or in the country or in the area where you raised your family, you get a chance to do so. So I think a lot of it is wonderful. I like that one of the big things that we came across over the last couple of years with the pandemic was the isolation that everybody was feeling. And having a congregate living setting like this will take that away. And, Barry, I know you talked about, there's likely nothing commercial coming to Roseneath, but, there's lots of opportunities to enhance the residential part of that community. And I think this is a wonderful thing. I think it's good continuity. And I think the one thing I'm not worried about, any services that are there, but I do think the one thing that I'm just going to caution you, and it wouldn't be anything that I would even hold as any negativity towards the project, but be thinking about things like you've got parking spaces there, but where people might run into difficulties being in a rural setting is delivery of medication. So I think that's just one thing as you're building on that plan to be thinking about Do you develop partnerships with existing pharmacies in neighboring communities, or because that'll be something as people come in that they may not be looking for, but they'll soon realize when they get there that may be something that is what is needed. But I'm excited by it, and I'm glad to think that you're both local and you're both interested in providing some enhancement to the area. So.
Thank you.
Councillor Phil.
One more thing. I know I've been long-winded on this, but I'll put my educator's hat on for a minute. You might want to scale up or scale down that section for childcare, because you'll find that the ratio, that ratio is pretty small to make something like that go. 6 or 8 kids is a very small number to break even on if you're looking to do that. You still have to have the teacher or, the early education staff or whatever. Also, pick up and drop off, can be congested at times of the day. It can create safety issues. Other cars moving through. Quite often in a public setting, we have tried to provide a safe pickup zone or safety zone. Also, I'm sure that as Deputy Mayor said, I'm sure that there's all kinds of public safeguards around, fire protection and all that kind of stuff. So I won't go there, but I would say, you might want to think about scaling up that childcare facility so that it's a little more affordable and maybe more cost effective. Might be something to look at.
Okay, thank you for that input.
Yeah.
We'll certainly look into that.
So
this
Deputy Mayor
property-
Gibson.
This property won't be sitting on the highway. It'll be sitting
No.
back. It'll be offset back.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just going to build on that, Mike, and I'm glad you mentioned that. It was something that I got on a roll there with that project that I was going to speak to. But I raised kids in the country where we live. We moved back into town because there weren't those opportunities available in those small communities, and I can tell you right off the top of my head, I know of 3 families that live in the Roseneath area that would give anything for daycare that they could get into. And there's affordable daycare, near our community, but the wait lists are long. So that's also just an exciting part of this project too.
I really like that.
Okay. They've covered basically everything, so I don't really have too much of questions, but I'm very happy to see this initiative for Roseneath. And for the people of Roseneath to have a place that's still home, that's huge. And I sit on the Northumberland County Housing Corp, and there's such a shortage of housing for seniors, especially in the rural areas. And, the transportation issues are the other thing. And, but, here you'll have, if, they'll drive each other or whatever, they'll all know one another. And I think it's an excellent project for the village. It'd be nice, perhaps expanded in other villages within the township, or the same type of an idea. And it'll make that corner look so nice. The parking, is that enough parking? Or are you meeting that? Or do
Good
we need
question.
to
We checked
adjust
with
a
the-
little?
We checked with the parking bylaw, our architect did, and we have allowed for 20 parking spots. Like the senior people need 5,
Yes,
but we have 20. So we have parking for the coffee shop as well,
yes,
but also parking for visitors.
Yeah.
So we went to 20. I think we could go to 18, but it depends a little bit how the parking bylaw is being interpreted.
okay, yeah.
You have
it's-
also to see on the other side of the road on the 25 is a huge parking lot with the post boxes and all that.
Well, yes, I was
Which is a
just going to
good-
say
good
that
thing.
too.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
cannot use that, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, it's there.
Right.
It's,
There for
you know, not always busy. There's always parking there unless there's an event going on. So I thought that was looking at it and with what you were doing, very sufficient for parking, but I don't have the parking bylaw in front of me either. So, yeah, you'd have to have an accessible parking
Yeah,
spot.
for sure.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna have lots of challenges in front of us. We know that with the county and different things and with me, but we will. take
Well,
our
you'll
time and
overcome them.
We will meet them. for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people in Roseneath will be quite excited once they see this get started. If, you know, should we get it all?
And if- I'm gonna say, if anybody can overcome challenges, we've got probably a good pair here. But,
Yes.
and if this is a go and it goes ahead, don't be afraid to, you know, ask advice from people, you know, from agencies and, you know, there's lots of good information out there, so.
But we're quite open, don't worry. We're
Yeah.
quite open for, yeah, to get the right people, do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barry and I are very happy that your councillors and mayor have asked those questions. It looks like you really understand the main core issues of a project like that. And that is like great.
Yeah.
If you work with people with the sensitivity for it.
Yeah.
And my simple question is, when can you get back to us with your sale of the firewall property?
We'll have to discuss that in camera. We can't discuss land open, but as soon as we can, we will have the staff get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay? And you're welcome to stay and listen to Linda Kay. She's making the presentation on community care. She might have handed out booklets. But
Thank you
you
for the
might,
extended 10 minutes.
pardon?
Thank you for the extended 10 minutes.
I know. Yeah. I'm terrible with time. Look at my cell phone's black.
We're happy.
You'll get a little bill for the overtime.
Yeah.
I just got on the mail the other day, you know what?
You can't always explain everything in 10
Now there'll
minutes
be
and
2
answer the
bills.
question. Thank you very much. 5.2 is delegation from Linda Kay, Director of Donor Relations, Communications, Community Care Northumberland, and also that June is Seniors Month. Be it resolved that council permit Linda Kay, Director of Donor Relations, Communications of Community Care Northumberland, to take the floor to make a presentation to council.
Is that your only handle right now, Linda?
Could I have a mover?
Usually got 4 or 5 on the go.
Counselor Hogg, second. Counselor Booth. All in favor? Carried. Okay, whenever you're ready, Linda, we're not in a rush. We only think we are most days.
It's because that one's highlighted. so I'm just gonna- Yeah.
I think that's.
Should I change the slide to this?
That doesn't work.
Tap it. Thank you very much for allowing me to come today and just give a bit of an update for our community care in Northumberland. And we're continuing on the seniors theme here. So
That's good.
that was an interesting project that was just proposed.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing, yes. So community care has been in the community here since 1988. It is really a multi-service organization that provides a lot of programs and services geared towards seniors, adults with disabilities, hospice clients, their families and caregivers, and those recovering from illness or injury. We are down to, during the pandemic, we made a few changes. There's no doubt about that. And we are down to 3 office locations now. We're in Campbellford, Brighton, and Coburg. And we have 2 satellite offices, one in Port Hope and one in Coburg. And that seems to be working very well. So we're 1 day a week in Coburg at the outreach office that's been established by the Ontario Health Team. And in Port Hope, we're at the Community Health Center. And so we're there 1 day a week. Right now, we have approximately 70 full and part-time staff. And Sherry and I were talking, the deputy mayor and I were talking before we came today, and she was saying when she started at Community Care, there was 12 staff. So the organization continues to grow. And of course, one of the biggest things that bumped our staff numbers up over the last couple of years has been the addition of the Ed's House. Our volunteers are just under 600 volunteers. And last year, considering COVID, and such, and the challenges we did almost 42,000 volunteer hours to support individuals in the community through various programs and services that we provide. And right now we have just under 5,000 clients, so that we are assisting through our programs and services. Our sources of revenue, and this was for the 2021 year, we just finished our audit and have our new 2022 audited financial statements. We're actually having an AGM on Monday. But just sort of break down where our funding comes from. 51% of our funding comes through the ministry. Then we get about 15% through our program revenue. So those are fees that are paid through our different programs and services. Our fundraising and donations is about 23%, and that continues to grow. Right now, between fundraising for Ed's House and for Community Care, we have to raise approximately $1.3 million a year. I'll talk a little more about that later. And then we get about 10% in grants, and they can be municipal grants, federal grants, provincial grants, and just some other funds that happen to come through the door. So this just gives you an idea of what our impact was over the last year for 21-22, the amount of drives we made for approximately the 5,000 residents we serve in the county. And really, it's been amazing that we've been able to support our clients through COVID. Our volunteers have been incredible, considering, lots of challenges in order to provide the programs and services that we do, especially things like transportation, where people needed to get to medical appointments, get to their dialysis, get to their chemotherapy, and a lot of doctors weren't seeing people during that time, but we're still making a lot of drives, Peterborough, Kingston, Toronto, for essential medical care. Our Meals on Wheels, certainly during COVID, was really busy. Our frozen meals, for a while there, we had to cut back on our hot meals, but we're back to providing hot meals and such. We did a lot of virtual exercise classes, and we did a lot of calls to our clients as well to make sure they were safe, they were doing all right, our friendly visits and such. And then our community outreach through our hospice, we served over 400 clients. And at Ed's House this past year, through that year, 21-22, we served 109 individuals. Ed's House. So our core programs for CCN, I'm sure everybody knows about Meals on Wheels, our nutrition program. And what we did during, I think just before the pandemic really came about, we had done a strategic plan, and we sort of looked at how we divided our services up. So one, we call them our nutrition services. So our Meals on Wheels and community diners. And unfortunately, during the last couple of years, we haven't been able to do community diners, but we're ramping up to get that back in place, because the seniors certainly like coming and going out for lunch or for dinner, and it's a great socialization for them. So that's coming, we're getting back into doing that, because we're getting back into in-person services. Our home help, of course, is helping seniors at home with their home maintenance, getting home from the hospital, our Home at Last program, etc. But it's we have PSWs that do go into the homes and help, and they're helping with garden maintenance and such. Our transportation is really one of our biggest programs, there's no doubt about it, with our volunteer drivers taking people to appointments and such, our rural route transportation, and our specialized transportation. It's highly utilized. We now have 8 vans that we're using throughout the county, which is pretty amazing. And of course, our deputy mayor's amazing husband, Mike, coordinates a lot of that. But I must say, that program is very well utilized, and there's no doubt about that. And then we have our wellness programs. Again, we're getting back to in-person wellness in regards to our classes, our workshops, our exercise and falls prevention, our telephone calls, reassurance calls. There's no doubt that the individuals appreciate receiving those on a regular basis, our friendly visiting, and our personal distress alarms. Councillor Philp was talking about that with the last group, and making sure people have a way to get in touch through emergencies. And then, of course, there's Ed's House. And once again, I would like to thank the township for their support of this. I think the last time I was here was when we came to present the fact that we were building Ed's House. But it's amazing that we opened it. We were lucky to have started construction just prior to COVID, and we were able to continue construction during COVID. But, you know, it's been open in September. It will have been open, right, Sherry, 2 years, right?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years in September. And, you know, since we've been open, we've served almost 170 individuals and their families since we opened. The amazing thing, people always ask us about what the cost is to the individual, and there's no cost to the client to go to Ed's House or to the families. And I must say, people are very, very appreciative. We have the 6 resident suites right now, but we have 4 future suites when funding comes available for those, and they're 3/4 finished. But we can't finish those until we get some funding from the LIN, until they will fund those suites. And we have lots of families that ask us about those, but we always have to tell them that we can't utilize until we receive the funding from the ministry for those. But we also have a great hospice services community outreach team. You know, they're supporting the families in the community. In those stats that I showed, they served over 400 individuals and their families, and they're providing services through helping to navigate the system. And they're there to help individuals that are at a life-threatening illness. So, and they've been in our community, well, hospice is in our community over 30 years. And the community outreach team's been in our community for about 10 years or more, sure? Maybe a little more. Maybe a little less.
Some programs.
So some programs are, some, yeah, but the PCCT team has been the most recent one, right? 5 years, yeah. So to access our services is really easy. People can self-refer. They might be referred by a family, friend, or caregiver. And anyone, there's no criteria for eligibility. And we're here to help and to make sure we're providing a good quality of life and people can stay home and receive services that they need. We do have fees, and I talked about that for our home health and maintenance, our transportation, community diners. Just recently, we had to put up we have increased our mileage for our volunteers because of the cost of gas, and the same thing, we're trying to keep the cost of our Meals on Wheels down, but it's hard because food costs are going up and we're getting charged more and more. So again, I came to thank you for your contribution to Ed's House through the capital campaign. We really appreciated the municipal support we got throughout the county. Thank you very much for continuing to give us some gas tax. That's really important for our transportation service. And we really thank you for all that you do to support the local charities and nonprofits. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, and I'm sure the deputy mayor is too.
Thank you very much. We know the support and what a wonderful service community care is in the community, and you know, people depend on it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mayor Latchford. And I've
That's
given
great.
you those booklets, but if you haven't, the other thing is, if you want to see a really lovely virtual tour of Ed's House, you just go to our website, and we have a lovely virtual tour on there right now that you can view. And we'd be happy to take you on a tour if you have not been up to see it. It's just a jewel. And,
Yes, it is.
and I must say, the families are so appreciative of it's there.
Any questions, Council? No?
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
And those.
Do you have extra booklets?
I can give some more to our deputy mayor.
Well, I was just gonna, if you didn't, I'd just give
Yeah.
mine to Barry and
Oh,
Tom.
yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
They've got them?
And the spot in Warkworth is a great spot as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
Two great programs.
Oh, yes, the Bridge Hospice, yes, definitely. So, Anyhow, well, thank you very much for giving me the time today. Appreciate it.
It's always nice to have you come, Linda,
Thank you.
and update us, and good to hear about community care. Thank you. Nice
Thank
seeing you.
Have a nice to see you all too.
You too. We'll go for item 6 on the agenda. Our first report is from Daryl Hall, CBO and BEO Planning Assistant, dated today. It's an update on a refreshment vehicle renewal. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman received the report from Daryl Hall, CBO and BEO Planning Assistant, dated June 16th, 2022, refreshment vehicle renewal. Can I get that motion on the floor? Moved by Councillor Philp, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson. Daryl.
Oh, well, thank you. I really don't have much to add with this report. It's just asking for council's approval. This is an existing food truck, chip truck, so to speak, that is staying at the same location, was licensed last year. They just need a renewal approval for this year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council? Seeing none. So the motion would be read the refreshment vehicle renewal and to approve that licensing for 2022. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. Item 7 is Public Works Department. Report from Brian Mcmillan, Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, dated June 16th. Upgrade to Leech Road for Assumption by Joshua Curtis and Kerry Lee Curtis. This is a right motion. I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman approve the request of Joshua Curtis and Kerry Lee Curtis to upgrade a portion of the road allowance on Leech Road to a full township standard acceptable to the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation. So an entrance can be developed off of Leech Road at Concession 9, part of Lot 17, registered Comp Plan 408, Sublot 15, former Haldeman Township, provided all costs are borne by the applicants Joshua Curtis and Kerry Lee Curtis. And further, that the mayor and the acting clerk of the Township of Almac-Haldeman be authorized to execute an agreement at a future meeting between the township and Joshua Curtis and Kerry Lee Curtis for the upgrading of a portion of the road allowance between lots 16 and 17, concession 9, extending approximately 1,000 feet south of George Road on Leech Road. And further, that once the road is brought up to township standards satisfactory to the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, that a bylaw be passed to assume this portion of the road into the township road system. And further, that the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation's report be received and filed. Have a mover, please. Councillor Philp, second. Councillor Hogg. Okay, any questions or comments? Councillor Booth?
Through you, your worship, to Brian. Brian, it talks about it will need a gravel driveway entrance constructed to the standard that will allow, I guess, the vehicles to turn around. So is that going at the bottom? So obviously if the plow goes down there, it's not going to back up. So is there going to be like a turnaround or a space or something where the plow or that can turn around?
Yes, through you, Mayor Latchford. Yes, that's correct, Councillor Booth. Again, that's this section road is being upgraded from George Road to the south. Past extensions have come from County Road 20 or County Road 29 to the north. This leaves a little section of about 400 meters left in the middle that I assume in the near future will probably be upgraded as well. As there's other interest in property there as well, but this will upgrade that section of road to municipal standard, and there will be sufficient room for vehicles to turn around.
So where does that space come? Does that come from Joshua and Carly Lee Curtis, or are they doing, so is the turnaround on their property there? Obviously, it's going to have to go wider than the road.
No, Councillor Booth, I'm not requiring the full cul-de-sac here because I know that the rest of this road's going to be opened up here in the very near future. So this turnaround is going to be installed on the current road allowance.
Okay, and just one more question. So in our negotiations with them, are we now putting a timeline on these things so that they have a certain amount of time to do it? And if not, then it's canceled or whatever?
Yes, there is in the agreement, there's timelines in the agreement that they will
Okay.
sign off, and security is kept as well.
Okay, thank you.
And my understanding is they're ready to build. Is that correct, Brian?
Well, they're coming
close.
back. They're coming back from BC here at the end of the month. But they do have to get, they've been in touch with the consultant right now. But again, we had to get this report to council first to make sure that council was on board with this. And again, then the consultant will provide a cost estimate for the road improvements. And then there's securities put in place by the Curtises before this work commences.
Any further questions? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Item 8 is Parks and Recreation Department. 8.1, report from Jennifer Steen, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated June 16th, Roseneath Agricultural Society Baseball Diamond. Be it resolved that the report from Jennifer Steen, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated June 16th, 2022, Roseneath Agricultural Society Baseball Diamond be received and filed. Can I have a mover? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second, Councillor Hogg. Okay. Any questions? Councillor Phillip?
A couple of things that I just, I guess this is for Jennifer. Jen, do they have a contract with the township as per what we see normally with any other contracts that similar that we've been discussing in previous ball groups and so on?
No, this league doesn't, hasn't filled out a rental agreement form as they aren't renting the diamond from the township. So I don't have paperwork for them, no.
What, oh.
The
Okay.
baseball diamond belongs to the Agricultural Society, not us. It's not township.
Oh, oh, well, that's different, eh?
Well, they've had it forever.
Okay, that makes me wonder a few things, but anyway, okay, I'll just sit back and think about that for a minute.
Okay. Councillor Booth?
Through you, your worship, to Jennifer. Reading the agreement that we have with the Roseneath Fair, it talks about the ball diamond and the soccer fields that they now come under. They've given that right to us to rent it to people or things like that. I'm not too concerned about the rental money, but the issue is that I think we're liable because we are grading the diamond at the start and we are allowing this group to use the ball diamond. If something happens to somebody, I think we could be partially liable. So I guess the question I have for you, is this an organized league, Jennifer? Do they make up teams, or is this just, I'm not concerned about the person that goes out there and has a couple of, kicks the ball around with their family or something like this. Is this an organized league and do they collect money? Is there a registration?
To my knowledge, it is a organized league as far as they have teams and a regular schedule and do collect a fee.
So that's an issue with me. I think we're liable as the township is that we're allowing an organized league that charges a registration fee and everything. They're not paying anything to us, which to me is not the point. I mean, if it's up there, but I guess my concern is that they're using it. All our other groups, whether you're renting the ice or whether you're renting a ball diamond at Grafton, have to show a waiver of insurance, that they have insurance to cover so that we are a second party to the insurance or something. So I think this opens us up to a big issue. Have we, maybe to the CAO, have we talked to insurance or somebody about this, Troy?
I'll let Jennifer speak on that because she actually has talked to our insurance.
Yes, I did reach out to Dave Mcmillan this morning, actually, and he sent me an email that I just forwarded off to the CAO and the clerk, and we can share with council. But he has looked over the agreement, and he does say that the township is exposed to liability for use of the ball diamond, playground, and soccer field, and his recommendation is that we would, just like we do, as you mentioned, Councillor Booth, for our other facilities where there is organized promoted use by a third party, that we would ask for insurance.
So I would agree with that, right? If we're going to allow a group to use it, then they're going to have to provide some insurance to us. And then I guess if we're going that far, we should also look at, should there be a fee for that? I would be quite upset if I was a baseball user down here in Grafton to find out that if I went up to Roseneath, I could play for free. But if I come down here, I have to pay $38 for an hour for the ball diamond.
But we don't own that property.
We don't own it,
And-
but according to the agreement, Mayor, it says that they've given that right to us to rent out the ball diamond, rent out the soccer field. That's part of the agreement. So they didn't come to Roseneath Fair and ask them for permission to use the field. They have to come to us. We own that. We have that right as part of the condition of the agreement we signed with them. And I guess the issue is we don't have a fee structure for that because this just came up, right?
Is this brand new? Is this something that's going on? You said it's going on for 20 years.
Well, they've always played ball there.
We've always dealt with the Roseneath Fair. That's who we always paid the money to years ago.
They got paid to the Agricultural Society, right?
Yeah.
Not according to the agreement signed in 2/18.
Yeah.
It says that they've given that to us for the soccer field and everything that was part of the agreement.
I don't think they don't even play soccer anymore in
No,
Roseneath, do
no
they?
soccer for a few years.
But I guess the biggest issue right now is we shouldn't be allowing anybody to play there, that we're exposing ourselves to liability, that if somebody breaks an ankle or something on Thursday, they're going to sue us. And our insurance guys even said it, so
They could, I guess, but.
I can tell you
it'll
as somebody
just-
that's been in the
I think
business for,
if you do that too, then that'll just be the end of the roll.
well, I
Wouldn't
can
you
tell you
say?
being in the business, Mayor, for 30-something years, everybody's your friend until something happens. And then they look at who are they going to sue? And when they sue, they'll sue the Roseneath Fairground and they'll sue us because we have the deep pockets.
Go ahead.
I think we're having a debate on an issue we really don't have all of the information on, because we don't know what the Agricultural Society or the Fair Board, whichever of those two organizations, handles that booking. We don't know what they collect. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, but I think, before we can decide what steps we're going to take, we should have all the facts and get the information from the Fair Board or the Ag Society about how they handle that, and do they request insurance, and then is the township named as a third party on that insurance? because, you know, it's otherwise we're really not making an informed decision. But
And the other thing with the, you know, is, does the agreement need updated? If they're not, I mean, the soccer fields, they just don't get used, and I don't think the. ball
Well, it
diamond
expires
actually
next
says
year,
it, but-
December 2023. It's a
Yeah.
5-year agreement, but I have it right here in front of me, and it talks about how the soccer field and the ball diamond and that they've allowed us to rent it out or whatever. They've sort of leased it to us, but they have permission to use it for their functions. But I agree with the deputy mayor. Maybe we need to look into this. And I think we should be informing the Thursday Night League that right now, until we get clarity on this, I don't think we should be exposing ourselves to this liability. At the bare minimum, they should show us is some kind of waiver of insurance.
Or the fair board if they're covering it. And they may be. Jim, am I to understand then that, that they pay a fee already and that fee is to the fair board? Is that-
We used to, 20 years ago. I don't know what they're doing now.
Okay. Well,
But there's never a time that you don't drive by the fairgrounds that there aren't people walking or people playing ball or something happening there. It's all the time. It's like the only park we really have in the town.
Which is fine, right? Unless it's an organized league. That's totally different than viewed upon, because we know now as a municipality, that it's an organized league. They're taking money, they're registering and everything. You going to play baseball with your son or a pickup game on a Sunday is totally different, right?
Right.
We're covered under our insurance. I think we are extremely liable for this, that you're going to run a baseball league on a Thursday with teams. And I guess my other question is, where's the money going to then? Because if they're taking money for the baseball league, what are they using the money for? Because they're not paying us for the diamond. So like I said, if I was a ball user in Grafton, I'd be like, why do I have to pay the town $38 for an hour game when if I can go up to Roseneath, I can play for nothing?
Okay, let's find out what's going on.
Let's put
Okay.
staff on it to find that out.
Yeah,
How's
staff will investigate and provide a report to council.
So I guess my question is, what happens tonight?
So it's not received and filed then, it's further information required by staff.
What's a Friday night thing?
Is it Thursday or Friday they play, Jennifer?
They play on Friday nights. And I just wanted to clarify that this group didn't reach out to the township to book the diamond, or they just reached out to inquire about when the maintenance would happen. So the bleachers were on the diamonds and they needed to be moved. And we did provide some chip to, maintain the diamond. But they didn't reach out to book the diamond with the township.
Did we provide anything? Because I thought the chips and dust was provided by a local contractor.
No, we provided it.
You did?
Yep. Brian maybe can speak to that.
Yes, through you,
I
Mayor.
know we have
Rochford.
in the past. Sorry, Brian.
That's right. Yeah, there was a small pile of chips and dust we have in a stockpile that we took up there, and the Parks and Rec staff dragged the diamond, leveled it up, first pulled the bleachers off, and yeah, that's all we did up there this year.
And the other thing that raises a point is, what is an organized league? Because, we're going to get in, this is going to open up,
Can of worms.
I mean, and good to get some answers with it, but we could say, okay, we don't want an organized league there, and there could be a pickup game. And who's gonna, there's people that walk the track, and, do we maintain that track? As Jim said, there's other things there, so.
And I think
I
and I really do think that's what it is. I don't think it's an organized league. I just think it's, let's just go to the park, play a fun game of ball, just like at any other park. But as said, we'll dig a little deeper, investigate, and bring a report back.
I think it's some just Friday nights, whoever can go.
Yeah.
And then you divide up the people to play the game.
Whatever happened to the old phrase, use at your own risk? Used to see that sign every time you walked into an arena.
Yeah.
Does that not apply anymore?
With money, like as long as, if money's changing hands, I think Sherry's hit the nail on the head. If money's changing hands, then we need to find out what's going on. If money's not changing hands, then as Councillor Booth said, you know, it's just pickup. People show up to play. That's fine. We're covered for that. But when there's money on the line, there's liability on the line. That's what I've learned.
And we can't speak to any facts today, so
No,
it's.
so let's do a report.
That's fine.
So I guess my question is, what do we do about this Friday? Are we allowing them in as a council to play on Friday until we get the answers, or do we ask them?
Well, they've
to
already
suspend
paid
things
for a
and-
few weeks. I wouldn't be suspending them.
I have a suggestion that I've used myself once or twice. I've contacted my insurance cover and asked for coverage for a 24-hour period or 48-hour period. And usually this is school insurance, but they'll usually just simply, well, thank you for letting us know, we'll cover it for you as a courtesy. And that's how they've handled it for me.
Well, again, I don't think that we can take any steps when we don't know what we're talking about.
Well, we do have an answer from our insurance guy that says we're liable.
Based on what? Based on what information?
Jennifer, maybe you can clarify for me then. What did you ask the insurance guy?
I told him the situation and that this report was going to council today, and I asked him to look at the agreement and give me his opinion on one, yes, if we could even rent the diamond, or if we couldn't because it's not owned by us, and what kind of liability we were looking at. And then he's given me, you know, a lengthy response here that I'm happy to share with council.
Well, I'd like to hear some of the major parts of it, like especially if it says that we are liable.
Yeah, he says in this agreement, the township is exposed to liability for use of this area regardless of use, as it would be for any township owned recreational facility, parks, arena, ball diamonds, playgrounds, etc.
So are we responsible then for the whole fair on fair days?
No, because that is, it says this is, okay, as the leasee, the township of Mcmillan is responsible for activities that occur here except for the specified occasions where the agricultural society is permitted to use and occupy the area, such as the fair.
That's a bit of an insurance no-brainer, because we would be liable if somebody fell off the slide at the playground. We don't ask people to go in and sign a waiver to take their kids to the park. So like part of that is insurance jargon, right? And covering their bases.
The last thing we want to do is put these people out of a few nights of playing ball that usually doesn't last an entire season, from my understanding. They just go down for a while.
Well, let's find out. And in the meantime, let's ask our insurance through the mayor and start jumping in. But let's just see if we can get some kind of a thumbs up for the next week or so while we sort of Troy sorts this out.
Yeah, and the other thing we need to know is if they need to sign a waiver for the agricultural society, I would think.
Third party.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're looking for further information and report back.
Yeah, thanks for
So
that discussion. That's interesting.
are you okay with that? You made the motion?
Yeah.
Jim, you second?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. The next item is administration, and this is a report from Pat Kemp on the livestock evaluator.
Yeah, right.
Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman received the report of the acting clerk dated June 16th, 2022 regarding the livestock evaluator, and further that council concur with staff's recommendation to appoint Daryl Hall as the livestock evaluator for the balance of 2022, and the necessary bylaw be passed, and further that the bylaw number 48, 2022 be repealed. Madam Mover? Jim, second by Counselor Phil. Any discussion?
I thought we were hiring a third party, and then did the third party fall through, or was I just misinformed?
So-
Yes, that fell through the agreement.
Yeah, so when after the council meeting, I forwarded the agreement to the individual. And because he had to have WSIB, that was part of our agreement. And also the mileage rate, he said it was too low, so he would not sign the agreement. And because we only had one claim last year, we decided that we would put forward the recommendation to council to have Daryl do it for 2022. And we'll see if there's any challenges that we have, and then we can bring back a report to council in 2023.
And, I mean, I don't want to put words in Daryl's mouth, but this guy is working a long day. Was he willing to take that on?
He's on the, he agreed to it.
Is there on the screen.
Yeah, to answer that
My concern for you, Daryl, is, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you can't do it, but
So just one more thing, Daryl.
But history in the past says that we get about 1 or 2 of these a year. So it's, it's not like we're gonna be, storming out doing these all the time. So, well,
that'll be
I
your
don't-
loss.
yeah, and it's we can do it as we're going as well if we're heading to another inspection or whatever. So, I didn't mind taking it on just to try it out, to see how it worked out this year. But, and we can bring something back to council to say how it did work out.
I'm just not 100% comfortable with it. Deputy Mayor Gibson?
Yeah, I mean, Daryl, I think you got an awful lot on your plate right now. I'm just wondering, like, could Rob Gord, is that something that we could include in his responsibilities for the coming year? When he's doing, his bylaw work, to also be the livestock evaluator? It seems to
And
me make more sense to send him out than it is to tie you up.
Yeah, and again, like history serves that last year we got 1, and I think the year before we had 2. So it's not a full-time position for this, but we could certainly, between Rob or I, we could certainly both probably handle it. Just with some, I do have the training videos here as well, so. But
It's, if you get into an argument with the farmer over the value of the dead livestock, I'd be concerned about that.
yeah, well, I guess it's council's ultimate direction or their decision if they want us to, or if we want to reach out to somebody else to see if they can become livestock evaluator. But I just, we were just thinking with only 1 or 2 a year, we should be fine to keep it in-house, but.
Yeah, and this WSIB, the livestock evaluators, those guys that are stockers, they're driving stock trucks and whatnot. We lost evaluators because of WSIB, and they have their own insurance. And that some of them have been told, you don't need the WSIB, you've got your own insurance. So
But I
that
think-
we've lost them.
I think that's a township policy if I'm not mistaken, so.
Well, then we should get rid of that if it's a township policy, because we've argued it for about 3 years. And, there's the history with that WSIB, and if that isn't right, do you know if that's right? Or if it's that they have to have it, or that it's a township policy?
Nicole might be.
Because if it isn't, then we're losing some good potential people to do jobs, and we should change that policy.
Yeah, and again, I'm fine either way. If council, I'm okay with not taking it on too. So if it's council's direction to reach out to see if we can resource somebody else to do it, that's fine as well. But we just thought, with the amount that really doesn't happen here, we would try keeping it in-house, but either way, it's good with me.
Nicole may have some information on the WSIB.
There's Nicole.
Nicole, our treasurer.
Where
She's
is
on-
she? Oh,
she's
there you
online.
are.
Yep.
Couldn't see you. I was looking up at the big screen. What's with WSIB, our policy or theirs that it absolutely has to be?
I would say it's not just a township policy. Normally, as an independent operator, there's at least the independent operator forms that have to be filled out. I think even Jennifer Steen will tell you, like, if we have a yoga instructor or someone like that who's doing something on behalf of the municipality, that's that's a process that we have to adhere to. I'm not overly familiar with all of the requirements, but I think if this is coming back to staff anyway, I can definitely do some research to make sure that we're being covered in that regard. But that would be my first thought, is that at a minimum, the independent operator information would have to be filled out, that basically would show that that person has sufficient insurance to cover them.
Yeah, and part of that too was they didn't have another employee doing that job. And at the time of WSIB, just for a little history, when that came to council, everybody was supposed to have WSIB. We had employees phoning, and WSIB was saying to them, you don't make enough money to pay WSIB and you don't need it. So if it's simply the wrong information in our policy, I think that's what we need to know. Nicole, if you don't mind, when you get time, resolve it. Okay, what are we going to do with this? Jim made the motion and Mike seconded it. What? Leave it as is, or? Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, can we appoint bylaw official, whether it's Daryl or Rob, to handle this in the interim until we get more information? I'd be kind of curious to know what kind of mileage would be acceptable to somebody. So what are we at, 47?
No, I believe we're at
53.
53.
53, so what?
And I know that some are like 60. Nicole can correct me if I'm wrong, 62 or something. Is it in the 60s, Nicole? That some towns are
Yeah.
doing?
I mean, through the mayor, the CRA rate, I believe, is up at about 61 cents per kilometer. Now, how they do it is their first 5,000 kilometers are at that rate. And then anything over and above that, it actually drops down to 50 some cents. I want to say something like 56, 57 cents a kilometer. So this situation for sure has brought about the fact that whether it be even on council's remuneration, anything that we're doing as far as mileage, we're using that 53-cent rate. And I do have it on my to-do list to do a review on that, because I'm not sure how long it's been at that rate, but it certainly needs to be reviewed.
It's been at that rate forever. Well, I'm not sure if it changed once after I came in 2012, but it's certainly, if it was changed, would have been around that 2012 to 2014 time, but it wasn't changed by very much. And it was MTO rate. Do we still go by MTO rate? Because it would be higher. We've never changed it in 2 terms, for sure. Maybe 2.5 that I know of.
I don't really pay attention to that.
Yeah, well, I just,
Well,
it's
I can
never,
tell you, it was 61 cents when I started here 10 years ago, and before we got the truck, we were up to 62 in 218. So that's how much it's changed in 10 years.
Right. So there's a problem. I
But-
won't speak on behalf of council, but I think for staff that are using their own vehicles to do municipal business, if it's low, it needs to be reviewed. And Nicole, if that's on your to-do list, that's probably good to do that sooner than later.
well, mileage should be across the board with everybody. We're driving all over the place. Counselor Booth?
So getting back to the livestock evaluator is, through you, your worship, maybe to Pat or Daryl, is there a course they have to have? Is there experience you have to have? Like, what makes a livestock evaluator?
I
Farmer,
can answer
drover.
that. There is some courses that you take through OMAFRA. We have the training courses online here. So we started the process in that training so far. But to my knowledge, it's just, I don't think you have to be a licensed livestock evaluator from what I read, but it's just training through the OMAFRA site.
Troy wants to say something.
Through you, Mayor. At my next CAO meeting, I can bring it up. We use shared services for a number of things throughout the county. So this may be something that we consider with neighboring townships, shared service, since we're, we only use it once or twice. So it could be an opportunity to do that. And then it's just an agreement with the neighboring township. So I can explore that.
Okay. So just for clarification, Daryl, was he concerned about mileage being 53 cents or 62 cents?
I think, yeah, I guess maybe I'd mentioned 50 or 62 in my little spiel there, but maybe it was 51 and 52. I'd have to go back and see what it was. He was concerned with the mileage and he was concerned with the WSIB.
Yeah. Okay. Well, others were as well. So that's something we should be checking on. So now we're going to leave Daryl and Rob in the interim as sharing the however you're going to do it, Daryl, the livestock evaluator position until we get information back. Are you satisfied with that, everybody?
Sure.
Okay, you made the motion, Jim. You second? Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Carry.
Good luck with them farmers, Daryl.
Thanks, Jim. I may be relying on you with some help.
Coyotes, I'm worried about.
I've dealt with them before.
9.2. I know.
It's quite a quick procedure now. And everything starts at calves start at $1,000.
9.2, report from Troy Gilmer, CAO, June 16th, asset management plan. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Alnwick-Haldeman adopt the asset management plan for 2021 to 2030 dated June 2nd, 2022. And further that the approved plan be posted on the website, and further that the CAO's report dated June 16th, 2022 regarding asset management plan be received and filed. And also that, well, I'm just adding here that Troy wishes to speak to this motion before we vote on it. Can I have a mover? Councillor Booth, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson. Okay, Troy.
Okay, I know everyone has read the report, but just because the importance of asset management, I just wanted to read out, part of the report, because I said it's so important. So Asset management planning is part of a strategic planning processes integrated with budgeting process and long-term financial planning.
Should give us the page.
Page 5. Good asset management planning helps municipalities make well-informed and evidence-based decisions about their infrastructure assets. Asset management plan is a living document, and assets are improved, the asset management will be updating utilizing our software. Staff will provide the necessary training to input the current information. So I just want to really, the importance of asset management plan. It's a living document. We are getting trained. We do have a date, July 26th. The current asset management plan as it sits right now that's out there, it will change when we get trained and we input mostly the roads. So a lot of information has to be inputted right now. Yeah, I just wanted staff to know, or council to know that the importance of it, and the ball is rolling. Staff will be trained in July, and we will make the necessary changes as needed. So
How much is the decision optimization technology? What's the cost of that?
I believe it was $5,000 for the training.
Yeah, but what's the cost of the
It was
Whatever.
paid for. Everything has been paid for. It was in the $26,000, I think, for everything. And it
I
was,
just want to know how much that program cost.
I can get you the exact number. So,
Okay.
because we're talking a number of years ago that it was paid for. So I don't have that exact number right now, so I can get it.
Oh, because I was wondering if it could have been paid out of modernization dollars, but if we.
Yeah,
got
I'm
it
not sure
years
how
ago,
it was paid, but it's been paid.
It's been paid
Yeah.
for quite a while.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's not as important then now as
Yeah.
wanting to pay it out of modernization,
No.
because it's too late. Counselor Booth had a question.
Yeah, through you, your worship, to Troy. So Troy, when the education part's done in July, you expect staff will start inputting information right away, because it's critical to show our preventive maintenance that we've done on such things as the roads or the ball diamonds, which was one of the ones that they rated us very poor, but because of the maintenance and everything you've done in there, you just can't go by the age of it.
Yes, that is the plan. So as soon as staff are trained, we'll start inputting and updating and stuff. It will benefit us when we do, grant applications, and for our 2023 budget, it will help justify, our needs.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it. Done.
I thought you had pages,
No.
the way you talked. Okay. Any further questions from council? All in favor? Thank you. Committee reports. This is item 10.1, Recreation and Cultural Advisory Committee meeting minutes of April 6th. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes of the Board of Directors meeting minutes of May 19th. Be it resolved that the Recreation and Cultural Advisory Committee meeting minutes of April 6th, 2022, and the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes of the Board of Directors of May 19th, 2022 be received and filed. Can I have a mover? Councillor Phillips, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson. All in favor? Carried. Is there any questions? No. Item 11 is the correspondence, and correspondence from the Shadow Minister and Deputy Shadow Ministers for Rural Economic Development and Rural Broadband Strategy dated June 2022, addressing federal funding for rural communities. Be it resolved that the correspondence from the shadow minister and deputy shadow ministers for rural economic development and rural broadband strategy dated June 2022, readdressing federal funding for rural communities be received. And further, that council provide 3 important issues impacting the township's economic development as a rural community. I'm just was wondering if between us, we can come up with 3 issues for the needs of the rural municipalities. Broadband we know is coming. So I don't know if you would want that as one, the continuation of technology. Since I'm not the real techie person. And upgrading. Anybody speak to that one? And I was wondering if there's any other ideas, even if we come up with a couple. Or if you don't want to respond to this.
I think communication is the big one, and I think you've already nailed it.
As per the request, communication. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see your hand up.
With the work that Eastern Ontario is doing, we've an organized group, and with the broadband that we know it's coming, I guess I'm wondering, what is there value in us? It doesn't take much to reply to this, but I guess I'm a little uncertain as to what is their role within Northumberland County.
Ontario East. Well, the warden.
No,
meets-
this,
I think they're just asking here for future funding. That some of the rural communities aren't getting what they're thinking of when I was reading it is enough funding from the federal level as compared to the towns and cities.
Right.
So, you know, we've got dead spaces, we don't have, it certainly will be improved with broadband, and hopefully we get most or all places covered, but we still might not, so. Going to
But-
do a lot of it, and just, I'm happy with continuing their funding or opportunities for funding for communications and technology. If you want to answer it, if we don't have to answer it at all.
Through the mayor, just thinking out loud, one of the things that came up at the Lower Trent Conservation Authority meeting last week was the importance of updated mapping information so that we can make good calls on storm water management and things of that nature. So that might be something that we could ask for as dollars from the government to help support conservation authorities in land use mapping.
Yeah.
Because it's very, in fact, the mapping for our area, and I had them send it on to Pat, but the updated, the most recent mapping for something that I was looking at the other day was the day of my birth, 1952. Some of the mapping is that old.
And there's a huge rural. Yeah.
My worry really is the intent of this group,
Yeah, just
because
what,
it's the conservative shadow minister that
And
they're putting forward a proposal for Canada. Like I'm happy to receive and file, because I'm not sure that we need to be involved in this initiative.
that's fine. Does anybody else feel the same?
I don't know who made that motion.
I'm okay with that, Sherry. I'm just trying to support think of some things that we need.
I think we'd be better off to put our energy into Ontario East, into that Gordon's.
Yeah, but then
Caucus.
the county does it on our behalf.
Yeah.
And they're working on, Ontario East is always working on them.
I'm fine with that.
So we receive and file,
Despite my.
we received and further.
You had some really great suggestions.
So admit the 3 important issues. Did I get a mover in a second?
No.
I didn't get a mover on that.
No.
Counselor Phillips, second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Gibson, all in favor? Carried. Item 11.2, correspondence from Jen Lansley dated May 31st. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Jen Lansley dated May 31st, 2022, re the Recreation and Cultural Advisory Committee, that her resignation be received, and further that council accepts with regret Miss Lansley's resignation, and that a letter of thanks be forwarded to Ms. Lansley for her service. Have a mover? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second, Councillor Phil. All in favor? Carried. This is all the correspondence that we've had, and I think I'll move to actually reading the motion rather than reading them all twice. Be it resolved that the following correspondence be received and filed. The Town of Blue Mountains dated May 24th, 2022, re-resolution to support the inclusion of mailing addresses of voters on voters lists provided to candidates. The Town of Aurora dated May 31st, 2022, re-support the motion mandatory firefighter certification. The Town of Aurora dated May 31, 2022, re-support of private members bill C-233, Cures Law. The City of Cambridge dated June 1, 2022, the motion request the province on Ontario for a plan of action to address joint and several liability. The City of Cambridge dated June 1, 2022, and the motion Ontario must build it right the first time, development of green building standards. And communications dated June 2nd, 2022 and June 9th, 2022, read the AMO watch file. Unless there's one that you want to pull and discuss, I'll just call for the motion for them all. Have a mover? Councillor Phillips? Councillor Hogg? All in favor? Carry. Item 12 is our bylaws. The first bylaw, 76/2022, is to authorize the appointment of Daryl Hall and Rob Gord. I'll try and do this as livestock evaluators for the interim for the Township of Almac Haldeman for provision of livestock claims under Protection of Livestock and Poultry from Dogs Act. RSO 1990 as amended. We don't have a timeline with that, do we? Just the interim being till the end of
We
the,
were just going to do it to the end of the year. However, based on council's discussion today, if we find more information and bring it back to you, you can always repeal this bylaw and appoint another bylaw.
okay. So you've got the changes then. Okay. Time mover, please. Councillor Hogg, second by Councillor Phil. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 77-2022, and this is our procedural bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw number 77/2022, being a bylaw to provide for the rules of order of the council and its committees, to provide rules for members' conduct and to outline standards for adequate notice. the procedure bylaw be read and deemed to be passed the 16th day of June, 2022. Have a mover? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Hogg. And we had gone through that at our last meeting. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 78, 2022. Be it resolved that bylaw number 78, 2022, to authorize the signing and execution of an acknowledgement and direction for the registration of application to change name from Public Authority Having Jurisdiction to the Corporation of the Township of Alma-Calderman for bylaw number 38-2022 be read and deemed to be passed the 16th day of June, 2022. Mover? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Philip, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 79-2022. Be it resolved that bylaw number 79, 2022, to authorize the signing and execution of an acknowledgement and direction for the registration of an application for the Township of Alma-Calderman's municipal bylaw number 38-2022 to establish public highways, Old Danforth Road, legally described as part of lots 21 and 22, concession A, being part 2 on plan 39R6713 and part 4 on plan 39R11477, formerly of the Township of Haldeman, now in the Township of Alma-Calderman, be read and deemed to be passed the 16th day of June, 2022. Mover? Councillor Hogg, second. Second, Councillor Booth, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 80-2022. Be it resolved that bylaw number 80-2022, being a bylaw to declare that a portion of a highway, street or walkway is assumed for public use in the Township of Alma-Calderman, legally described as part of Lot 9, Concession 3, Part 3, Plan 39R14466 Turk Road, Township of Alma-Calderman, formerly the Township of Haldeman, be read and deemed to be passed the 16th day of June, 2022. Mover? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Philp, all in favor? Carried. Item 13 is announcements and notice of motion. Councillor Booth.
Yes, through you, your worship, just one. This past Saturday, June the 11th, I attended the Fire Prevention and Public Education Day at Roseneath Station 3. It was very well attended. There was lots of parents and kids there. It allowed the public to tour the fire hall, check out the trucks, which is always a favorite of the kids, and the equipment. And they also had a fire playhouse there for the kids, which was very well attended. So just congratulations to the chief, Dave Dawson, and also to the district chief, Mike Jarvis, who was there coordinating the day there. So job well done. That's it.
Thank you. It was a good day. I was there as well. They had it all laid out, displayed nicely. Councillor Hogg.
I just have one. The Heritage Committee is doing the Barnum House Open Strawberry Social and Tea, 1 o'clock, 1 to 4 this Saturday afternoon, if anybody's interested.
Okay. I'm hoping to get there. Okay, I'm next. I've got a couple of proclamations to read. The first one is National Indigenous History Month and National Indigenous Peoples Day, June 2022. Whereas the month of June is recognized as National Indigenous History Month, an opportunity to increase the visibility of Indigenous contributions, experience, values, and cultures. and to build bridges of understanding between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people throughout Canada and in the Township of Almac-Haldeman. And whereas June 21st is National Indigenous Peoples' Day, a day to honor the unique history, heritage, and diversity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And whereas the Township of Almac-Haldeman recognizes that the Mississauga Anishinaabe Nation, on whose territory the Township of Almac-Haldeman is located, are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. And whereas the Township of Almac-Haldeman strives to be an inclusive community and encourages all residents to reflect, learn, and take action in a meaningful way towards reconciliation in solidarity with Indigenous peoples. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Gail Latchford, on behalf of the Council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2022 as National Indigenous History Month, and the date of June 21, 2022 as National Indigenous Peoples' Day in the Township of Almac-Haldeman, dated the 16th day of June, 2022. And the other one is the proclamation for Pride Month, June 2022. Whereas June is recognized as Pride Month in Canada and around the world as an opportunity to celebrate the contributions of LGBTQ2S plus individuals across Canada, to reflect on the trials the LGBTQ2S plus community has endured and overcome, and to recommit to the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our community. And whereas the Township of Almac-Haldeman celebrates the diversity of gender and sexual minority communities, including lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning two-spirit, and more. And whereas it is important to reflect on the progress made to recognize and protect the rights of the LGBTQ2S plus community while acknowledging there is still much work to be done. And whereas awareness and education are vital to end discrimination and violence based on gender identity and sexual orientation. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Gail Latchford, on behalf of the Council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2022 to be Pride Month in the Township of Almac-Haldeman, dated the 16th day of June 2022.
Graduation.
Oh, okay. Troy received an email, communications for mayor. And would you be able to speak during your communication time on this? St. Mary's graduation, June 24th, 6:30. AH donated $50 and a trophy to the recipient, looking for a presenter from AH. I'm wondering if someone can attend this. One of you. I'm doing the Roseneath one.
That's a Friday?
Yeah.
June
Yeah.
24th at 6:30.
We're away that weekend.
Yes, I'm in.
We didn't donate anything to any of the schools this year or the past 2 years, did we?
Last year we did Grafton, not St. Mary's. This year it's St. Mary's, not Grafton, and we do Roseneath as well. No, we don't.
I'm going to
Yes, that's
Roseneath
right.
to their dinner and celebration.
They didn't ask for a donation.
No.
No. Okay. Can anybody take this, June 24th, 6:30?
I'll get back to you, just, it shows I'm going to Kitchener, but we might not be going till the Saturday, if that's the Friday, right?
And they just usually get you to just say a few words about
I
the,
went to the one last time.
yeah,
So if I can't go, I'm sure Tim can go to.
okay.
Which school is it? Which it's,
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's.
yeah. That was the one.
Yep.
So you can get back to Troy,
I'll get back to you. Troy.
Thank you.
okay? That's yours. Thanks, Greg, if you can do that. I've been working on, I got a hold of Mr. Lansley, and we're working on a date for the community policing meeting. Hopefully one day next week or the week after, And that's concerning some funding for a black cat. So I just want you to know I've been working away. We're trying to get a place. Okay, I was going to mention the fire day too, but Greg did, and it was good. That's it for me. Deputy Mayor Gibson,
I have nothing.
Councillor Philip.
Just a notification that I attended Lower Trent's annual monthly meeting, and it was very well run. We had a couple of delegations, and it went in very long, but we got a lot done. And we had another good meeting, Sherry and I, with the library board Monday night was passed. Really nothing of note there. They're looking forward to our July 1st celebration weekend, and we'll be participating in that. Other than that, it was the business of the day, and very well run by the chair.
Okay. That's it for you. That's short for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 14 is closed session. Motion to recess to closed session that the council of the township of Alma-Calderman will be recessing to a closed session under section 2392 and B. Yes, and B. And to consider personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, with the Parks and Recreation Cultural Coordinator, CAO, acting clerk and deputy clerk remaining in attendance at 2:39 p.m. Now we got to go out and go back in, right?
So you need a motion.
Okay.
You need a motion to do that.
Oh, I just read that. I need a mover and a seconder. Terry. Mike, all in favor? Terry. I've been reading books here this afternoon.
Nobody can hear her. Sorry, your mic. Thank you.
Be it resolved that the council of the township of Alma-Calderman adjourn the closed session at 3:38 p.m. and reconvene to the regular session. Can I have a mover, please? Jim, Councillor Hogg, second by Deputy Mayor Gibson. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Philip, you may not be able to see on your screen, but he is in attendance.
So we need to make a motion from the closed session to approve the recommendations from the closed session. So
Okay.
Councillor Philip will have to leave.
Councillor Philip has to excuse himself for a few minutes.
Don't go far though.
Okay, the motion is to receive,
To approve of the recommendations in closed session.
approve of the recommendations that were in the closed session today. Mover? Councillor Booth, second. Councillor Hogg, all in favor? Carry. Can you ask Councillor Philip to come back? It's only the confirming bylaw anyway. Counselor Philip has returned at 3:40. Approval of the confirming bylaw. This is item 15. Be it resolved that bylaw number 81, 2022, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council session held on Thursday, June 16th, 2022, be read and deemed passed the 16th day of June, 2022. Mover? Counselor Phillips, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson, all in favor? Carried. And motion to adjourn, be it resolved that the regular session of council of Thursday, June 16th, 2022 be adjourned at 3:41 PM. Over. Counselor Phillips, second. Counselor Hogg, all in favor? Carried. Careful going home in the storm. Okay.